If you grew up gaming in the early 1990s, this one probably still lives somewhere in the back of your mind. It's the early 90s. The Mega Drive is connected to the TV. The room is dim, the screen hums softly, and sitting right there is a cartridge that feels impossible to ignore. Bright yellow label. Bart Simpson on a skateboard, slingshot in hand. The Simpsons, Bart versus the Space Mutants. This game was everywhere. If you didn't own it, someone you knew did. If nobody you knew had it, the rental shop definitely did. It sat right there on the shelf, impossible to miss. At the time, it felt like a sure thing. The Simpsons were at the height of their popularity. Bart was everywhere. T-shirts, school bags, lunchboxes, toys. So when a Simpsons game appeared on the Mega Drive, it felt inevitable. This wasn't some obscure title. This was supposed to be the one. You expected something fun, fast, funny, something that felt like the show, and at first, it kind of did. The intro sets everything up quickly. Aliens have invaded Springfield, disguised as humans. Bart is the only one who can see them for what they really are, thanks to his X-ray glasses. Suddenly, you're not just playing a platform game, you're stopping an invasion. Springfield looks familiar. The colors pop, the sprites are large, the presentation feels premium. As a kid, this felt like a big deal. The opening level drops you right into the streets of Springfield, and then you're given one of the strangest objectives any game ever asked of a child: destroy anything purple. At the time, that sounded simple, almost funny. So you start smashing things, signs, hats, balloon stands, windows, and for a moment it feels like it's working. But then something happens. You jump slightly too far and fall into an enemy. A pedestrian bumps into you. A policeman grabs you out of nowhere. You lose a life. You shrug it off and continue. Then it happens again and again. And suddenly the game feels different. Not broken, just hostile. This is where Bart versus the Space Mutants quietly lost most of us, because nothing in this game is clearly explained. Not really. Some purple objects count, some don't. Some things hurt you just for touching them. Others look dangerous but aren't. Enemies blend into the environment. Foreground and background don't always read clearly. Timing becomes critical almost immediately. As kids, we weren't thinking about design philosophy. We were just confused. We didn't know why we failed, only that we did. And failure in this game stacked quickly. Lives disappeared fast, continues vanished before you knew it, and the punishment for mistakes felt harsh. This wasn't the kind of game you could brute force through with enthusiasm. It wanted precision. It wanted patience. It wanted you to slow down. That was a problem. Because most of us didn't own this game. We rented it. That detail matters more than we realized at the time. You'd bring it home on a Friday night, play it for a few hours, restart the opening level again and again. Feel like you were missing something obvious. And then, before you could really learn it, the weekend was over. You returned it Sunday afternoon, having barely progressed, already feeling like the game had beaten you. And the next time you saw it on the shelf, you hesitated. Because you remembered the frustration. Looking back now, it's clear that Bart versus the Space Mutants wasn't designed for short play sessions. It was designed to be learned slowly. Enemy placement is deliberate. Jumps require commitment. Momentum matters. The game expects you to memorize patterns, to understand which objects matter and which don't, to accept failure as part of the process. That's not bad design. But it is old-school design. The problem was the skin it was wrapped in. This looked like a cartoon game. It looked accessible. It looked friendly. But underneath, it was closer to a methodical arcade platformer. As kids, that mismatch caught us off guard. We wanted to mess around. The game wanted discipline. And that tension never really went away. As you progress, the environments change. The objectives shift. The aliens become harder to spot. The margin for error shrinks, and the game never slows down to make sure you're ready. That's why so few people ever talk about later levels, not because they're bad, but because most players never saw them. When people talk about this game today, they talk about the idea of it. They remember Springfield, they remember purple objects, they remember frustration, they don't remember the ending. Because for most of us, the ending was theoretical. And yet, despite all of that, this game stuck. Decades later, we still recognize it instantly. The music, the visuals, the feeling it gave us. That feeling wasn't fun in the traditional sense. It was tension, confusion, a sense of being slightly overwhelmed. But those emotions leave a mark. Bart versus the Space Mutants wasn't the game we beat. It was the game we remember. It represents a specific moment in gaming history, when licensed games weren't afraid to be difficult, when games assumed you'd fail and try again, when patience was expected, not optional. Today, it feels strange, out of place, but also fascinating because it reminds us how different gaming used to be. Not better, not worse, just different. This is the perfect example of a game everyone owned, and almost nobody finished. And the fact that we're still talking about it now says everything. If this brought back a memory, you're in the right place.